familiar theme of the season. You've told us all along how those moments help prepare for these moments. Can you talk about your team's poise and moxie down the strength in getting it done to go up 2-0?
Yeah, I think probably all those games, more than anything, it just makes you realize how tough it is. It really is tough. To win, it's even tougher to win in the playoffs. And then you're playing against a very good basketball team in Boston. We've just had a lot of reps on learning how to deal with a lot of different emotions. I mean, there were so many different ebbs and flows of that game. But you start to wrap your mind around that it's going to be a long game, 48 minutes, and you got to win skirmishes. We had to battle through deficits in both halves. But we showed that grit and perseverance to be able to hang in there and then, make some plays. And defensively, in the second quarter, we're really good, to get back into the game, and then same thing in the second half. And then Jimmy and Bam just really anchored us offensively. It's just great, when your two best players can lead you and you have a place where the ball can go, and everybody else is just playing off of those guys. But they also hit some very timely big shots in that fourth quarter.
What did you think of not just his entire game, but once they put Rob on Caleb, his response to that?
Yeah, they did it last year, so it's almost like he's had 12 months to prepare for this. He has a lot of pride. He doesn't like being whatever, but he's an important playmaker for us. Spacing the floor. He's not your traditional 3-and-D guy. He's a little bit unconventional out of the box, so he can do a lot of different things. But that's part of it. Like if they're going to play way off of him, he's now had a lot of months of knocking down those kind of shots, but also off the dribble, making plays, and just those timely winning plays. In the second quarter, really they made a big time push, and Caleb was the one. His energy, his offense, his defensive efforts really just kind of kept us, in that scrum.
Jimmy and Bam are different off the court, but you've talked about how they're so similar on the court, just in their on-court personas. What makes them so unique as stars?
That competitive spirit, the competitive will. They compete to win, and they understand you have to do it on both ends of the court. Both of them, at some point probably guarded basically everybody on the floor. At some point with the switches. So they're going to burn a lot of calories on that end, but then they have this shoulder, massive responsibilities for us on the other end. So we follow them. We follow them with their spirit, their competitive will, night in, night out.
Spo, you've talked for years about the will you've got to have to succeed in the postseason. Why is the belief within this group so strong that you guys will find a way no matter the circumstances?
Feels like this has just been our existence all year long. I guess nobody was really paying attention, but we were in every single game it felt like for weeks on end, every game was ending on the last second shot, whether we were shooting it or the other team was shooting it. So you develop some grit, from that, and whether that turns into confidence or not, sometimes you don't have the confidence, but at least you have that experience of going through stuff, and you understand how tough it is.
What was going through your head when you saw Jimmy and Grant face-to-face like that? Mike, is it fair to say you were not displeased?
I can see where you're going. Look, I love that gnarly version of Jimmy, but you get that regardless. I just think people now are paying a lot more attention, to him now. We've won some games in the postseason. The last few years, Jimmy is just a real competitor.
But playing that way, you guys have played close games for like a decade. Is there a comfort when the game is like that you feel?
For a whole decade, we're going to go.
It's been
compare
years.
this
You
to
guys play close games every year, like many of them.
That sounds like it's almost an indictment on style of play, like in the mud. No, I'm kidding. No, I think the only thing that's relevant is this year. Well, this group has been together for a while, so there's some collective experiences together, but certainly this year was really unique for all of us, and there's a beauty in the struggle. There's a beauty in that grind, and we're privileged to be able to go through a unique regular season like we have. But we're in the midst of this right now, and yes, we feel a certain way about getting these two games, but we're well aware of who they are, what they're capable of. Just in these first two games, they've gone on big runs on us. So we have to stay focused on the task at hand and get ready for a big battle in Game 3.
Coach, Game 2 against New York, I imagine you knew you would be going to some zone just because Butler was out. I wonder if this one, if you thought you'd be playing, had any idea that you'd be playing as much zone as you did.
When you compete against great teams, very good teams like we're facing in Boston, you just have to do whatever's necessary. Now, it's not about the schematics or the X's and O's. You could invent a new defense. If you're not committed to doing tough things, that's what this is about, doing tough things. Like, these guys are not easy to defend. You have to be committed to doing the multiple efforts to contain, to get to the three-point line, to contain their drives. They do all of that, and then they crash the glass, whether in the man or the zone. But our guys have kind of wrapped their minds around that, how tough it is in the postseason.
Erik over here, you've obviously been asked a lot about the undrafted story and having so many players along those lines.
Yeah, that's kind of played out.
Well,
yeah.
my
but they're
question.
not even like that's so disrespectful to keep on talking about that way. Like, Gabe has been with us. He's a veteran.
Yes.
He's a seasoned veteran. I have not even bothered to look at the playoff experience, but he's got as much playoff experience as anybody in this postseason. He's been with us since the bubble. Like, that storyline is over. These guys have proven themselves as competitors and winning players. Maybe they feel a certain way about it, but they have the full trust of everybody in our locker room. And this is just about the Heat versus Celtics right now.
Well, my question along those lines is, what are the intangibles that those types of players have that you typically look for that maybe are showing up right now in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, you see it. It's on display. Competitive will, competitive spirit, toughness, understanding how tough it is to win. And there's a humility to that. It's a tough balance to have that razor's edge, but also have a humility, and a respect for the opponent. Those guys have that for sure.
Erik, obviously you count on Duncan's three-point shooting to help you, but he also was aggressive going to the basket and gave you sort of a spark at a bunch of different times. He's a guy who's been in, he's a guy who's been out, been spotted a little. Your thoughts on his overall effort tonight?
Now, that's been 2 years of development, where the scouting report was to do everything and anything to get him off that three-point line. So he's been working on that diligently for 2 off seasons, regular seasons, really working on his off-ball movement, more actions to the rim. You saw the back cut, and then putting the ball on the floor. I mean, I can't even mention how many drives he's worked on during the off season over and over and over, and then still doing his normal shooting routine, because that's what creates the overreactions. But that's a credit to his commitment to player development. That's it. Thanks.
Well, what have you seen from what you guys have done against Tatum in the fourth quarter that he's yet to make a field goal?
I don't like thinking about that. He's a great player. I mentioned that at the top of this series. He's one of the best players on this planet that play with that round ball. Sometimes it's make or miss in this league. we're aware of, if you think that he's going to keep on, if he's going to miss at some points in the game, we know what he can do in the fourth quarter. We were watching, that previous series. He's a great player. He deserves the respect, of our efforts to try to, make it tough. But great players, they can go above and beyond.
Well, has the respect that your guys have had for him caused them to kind of raise their execution to slow him in that fourth quarter?
Our guys, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's make or miss. He's fully capable of making, some of these shots. So it always looks better if you get the win. All right, thank you.